Module 4, how to estimate repairs and understand what you're looking at when you are walking a property. That's what we're going over today. Before you start, make sure you take notes and you grab and download the resources in the description below, and let's follow along and get into it. All right, my name is Philip Ty. I am based out of Richmond, Virginia. I have sold and remodeled over 50 homes. And I was a former Marine and a software engineer, and I'm also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So if you guys are in Richmond, make sure you guys come out and roll with me. Key to success. Education is the number one foundation, in my opinion. The more you know, the less fearful you'll be and the easier decisions you can make. That's first and foremost. So by you learning through this process, you'll become less fearful in the future. Reps. You got to put in the reps in no matter what you're doing. You got to put in that work in regards to walking the property, learning what you're looking at. And the more you do that, the easier it'll become and the faster it will be for you to underwrite deals and then submit that offer to that seller. Follow a system is next. Whether you follow my system or someone else, you always want to follow a system so you can train your future employee or your team member to do what you cannot or what you won't do anymore. And it's also builds in a system for your actual business itself so it can run without you in the near future. Inspections. I recommend you get inspections on all your properties whenever you buy because this has many benefits to it, but I won't get into it right now. But just do home inspections because it's one of the best investments you can make before buying a property. So know what you're looking at is first and foremost very crucial in this particular process when buying a property. So I have a lot of components here on the screen. Now, not all of them you should learn or take away from this video, but the main situation here is that you guys know what the roof is, you guys know what the siding is, what doors and windows are. But the little things like the fascia board and the soffit. So the fascia board is what's facing you, like on the outskirts of the roof, and the soffit is underneath it, underneath the roof and the overhang, basically. And you also have other things too, is here, like there's the chimney cap, there's like the ridge line of a roof that are like very technical, but you should definitely understand those types of components around the house so you are aware of what you're looking at, but also how much it may cost you to get repaired. Okay, so we're going to do a 3D slash a 2D viewing of the guts of the structure of the property. Now, everybody's familiar with 2x4 studs. I don't think I need to go into that. Now there's subfloor right here, which is like the plywood that goes on top of the joist. It's a supporting structure of the floor. Okay, you have the floor joist. Then you have underneath the floor joist, you have the foundation walls. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And then you have a couple of other terminologies that I don't really know too much about, but just understand that you're looking at that, and these are the components that makes up the structure. Now, if you go on the right-hand side of things right here, you have the footing, which supports the foundation walls that sits on. That's a load-bearing like footing structure. And then you have your load-bearing walls themselves that support weight. So these are joists that go left to right, and what these beams are, these studs will sit on that, and that's load-bearing. And then you have your ceiling joists that support the roof, right? You have your roof rafter that goes on top of the joist. So there's a lot of things you have to be aware of on what you're looking at when it comes to inspecting and walking the property. So you understand like, oh, that joist or that subfloor is rotted out. I got to replace all of that. And how much does that cost? You put that in your scope of work and your budget too as well. So just understand the structure of the house. That's very important because a lot of people are scared of the foundational work, but they don't understand why they're scared. They understand it's a large ticket price in regards to repairs. So continuing on, we have the HVAC system or the heating and cooling system of every single house. Now you have heat pumps, you have mini splits, you have boiler systems, you have baseboard heat, and you have window AC. You just got to know what you're looking at when it comes down to it, and then what the comps call for, and then just make that adjustments and add that to your scope of work and budget at the end of the day. All right, so this is the electrical portion of it. So there is two types of box out there. There's the fuse box, which is dated, antiquated technology that you should no longer be using. If you happen to find this type of electrical panel, you're going to want to replace it when you resell it, if you're fix and flip it, or if you're buy and hold. Okay, so now we have a breaker system, which is like basically a toggle on and off switch to control different sections of the house or appliances of the house. And then you have the types of wiring that comes with the house too as well to feed the electrical wires to the outlets, the switches, the lights, etc. So the knob and tube, old school, if you see it, remove it, replace it. Just simple as that. You have your cloth insulated wire. This type of wire, now these days, is very old, brittle, and can catch on fire relatively easy if there's a nick in the wire, etc. But I recommend you replace it because it is a hazard and it could be a point of failure when you sell the property. And now the normal wiring is the copper wire, what you'll see a lot in residentials. Aluminum wire, you don't see as much anymore, but you will see in older homes. So that's the wiring type. Next is plumbing. So plumbing is also huge. I see a lot of galvanized and cast iron piping as a drainage in the crawl space. So that's normally by now it's corroded. There's holes in it. There's buildup in it. You have a backup of sewage that can happen in there. I have to replace these types of piping as drainage that connects to the sewage system of the city or the county or whatever it may be. What you'll see in the house too now these days is more of your PEX and your PVC, your plastic piping, because it doesn't corrode and it can last a pretty long time. Some last up to 50 years. Now you will see copper piping, which is great. It's more of like in the, I would say the 80s to 70s homes, sometimes 60s. They're great, but they're also very expensive now these days because copper is expensive. I haven't seen any stainless steel piping in any of my fix and flips, but it is common in some parts of the area potentially. Now you do have polybutylene piping, which is not good too as well. I think it leaches some kind of chemical into the water, so that has to be replaced. Okay, let's talk about the waste and water system of a property. So there's two things. There's public and then there's well and septic. So public is your normal hookups that you hook up to the city or county. There's usually a sewage line that you can hook up to, and you pay a monthly fee of usage to those to the city or county, whatever you're hooked up to. Now, that's more like the city and urban areas. Now, for your rural areas, such as in the country and the sticks, you have well and you have septic. So well water is just it's basically free water in a sense that you have to drill all the way down to a certain depth to get access to the water, and it gets pumped up and then it gets into your house. The waste side of things, it goes into a septic tank, which is like human waste, and then it goes into a distribution box where it distributes that to the drainage field, as you can see here, and then that leaches into the soil, going all the way down and kind of filtering it out. Just on a cost perspective note, a septic system like this, just a septic system can cost up to 30, maybe even more, depending on how many bathrooms and how much waste is coming out of the house. Just be aware, I had to replace a whole septic system on one of my fix and flips, and it cost me $30,000. So it is expensive to do, by the way, guys. All right. So next is what are the things you need to bring with you on your trips to the cellar? So the first thing is a flashlight. So sometimes the house that you are walking through may not have electricity. So you're going to want to bring a flashlight just in case. Now I know there's one on your phone, but I bring one just in case because I like to use a flashlight and take a picture of my phone or record the whole thing. Obviously, your camera, your phone, people don't leave without it. So next is your deal analyzer. You're going to want to bring that with you because as you walk through the property, you're going to mark off things that need to be replaced or repaired. And that's a very easy process to do. Next is to purchase a contract. So the purchase contract you're going to want to bring because if the seller is ready to sell and you guys have agreed upon a price, you can sign it right there, lock it up, and move on with the second part of due diligence, whatever that may be. Next you want to bring is your comps. I use this as a reference point for myself. I never tell the seller my comps. I use this as a reference point for me to understand what I need to get the subject property to, like as far as repairs, to get it up to in order for me to get at that particular selling price. So next is your business credibility packet. You don't have to bring this with you, but it's good to show a level of professionalism. And if you don't have any credibility, you can always leverage your network of investors. You know, my group has done X amount of flips, so it gives you more credibility. You could have information about your company on there, how long you've been in business for, etc. And make sure you guys arrive a little bit early. I think I'll arrive about 5 to 10 minutes before my meeting with the seller because I want to see the neighborhood. I want to feel the neighborhood. I want to drive the neighborhood to see what everybody else is doing and what has been done to this neighborhood, and kind of just get the sense of like, oh, does this neighborhood feel good? If it does, then I'm like, okay, this is probably a good fix and flip. And it's kind of like it's hard to describe what a good feeling is, but you'll know when you drive the neighborhood. All right, let's talk about how to walk a property. All right, I like to walk the exterior first and then the interior. So I like to document all the things that I see with the camera, and I can show a video on the screen or at the end of this particular presentation what I do as my process. Okay, so I walk the interior, I walk the exterior first, and I document everything with my camera and then photos and videos. Next, I bring a deal analyzer, which I have within the description below, and I mark off things that need to be replaced or repaired on the exterior. And then I walk the interior with the same process. I go from exterior, I'll walk around the whole sides, and then I'll walk the inside. So ask yourself these 4 questions when you are looking at repairs or replacements of things. First question, will the repair add value to the property? Okay. Next, will it help sell the property? So if I'm repairing this, will it help it sell it? Next, is it cost effective, right? Is what I'm going to repair, is it cost a lot of freaking money with not a lot of upsell, or is the cost going to be fair value or low and it's going to add massive value to the property? And lastly, is it necessary, right? Is it necessary to add a pool to your back of your property if not a lot of comps in the neighborhood have it? Not if nobody has it. Well, obviously that's a no. Okay, if I add an extra bathroom here and pull the permits, etc., will it add? How much value will it add? Would it add a lot or would it add a little bit? So you got to take these types of repairs into consideration in regards to your overall comps in the area. All right, so here's my gift to you, the repair estimator. It's in the description below. It's part of the deal analyzer. This is what it looks like. Or if you guys want a paid version of it, a paid version of like a rehab estimator, we have this thing called Rehab Valuator, and I'll show you that here shortly on the screen. So let's actually get to it after this. I'll show you the ins and outs of this particular software. It's absolutely amazing. And then let's jump into the home inspections portion of it. So this is a great meme. You know, you're going to spend $400,000 on a house, but you won't spend $400 to get a home inspection. There are so many reasons why you should get a home inspection. Okay, so here's some of the benefits. The first thing, you can leverage the report, a third-party report, leverage that to renegotiate the purchase price if you need to. Okay, so your $400 of spend you can 10x that. You can also 20x that, right? So let's say you found $4,000 worth of repairs that were maybe in the attic or the crawl space that you guys didn't walk. You can leverage that to the purchase price. You can, hey, Mrs. or Mr. Seller, the crawl space is all jacked up. It has so much mold, fungus, and the vapor barrier is not there, and a lot of junk. I'm getting quoted $4,000 to get that all replaced and repaired. Could we take that off the purchase price? They're like, yeah, that's totally fine. Or it could be even more, right? You can leverage this to your benefit. So I recommend you getting a home inspection first and foremost because of that. Next, this will help you build your scope of work out. Like, it is phenomenal on what you can accomplish with the report, and leverage that. Give clear instructions to your contractors to be able for them to do the work. That's how I was able to basically manage all my fix and flips, is I get a home inspection because it does basically 99% of the work. I would say 90% of the work, but you get it. All right. You're going to be using this as your due diligence portion to be able to get financing too. So imagine having all your ducks in a row, right? You have renegotiated with the property with the seller, you've built out your scope of work, and then you put that on top of the home inspection. And then this will show your investors, your lenders, whoever, that, hey, Philip is actually very serious when it comes to investing. He's spent all this time, energy, and effort, and is able to have a game plan for me to show me. So that way I understand what his exit strategy is. I understand what he's going to be doing. I understand how he's going to be growing the value of the property. I can see how he can get up to this particular price point when he sells it. So it does so much wonders for you. And so, like I said, fixing and flipping is hard. Don't make it harder on yourself. When you are taking out walls, if you're repairing things, you don't want to be surprised. You will be surprised, but you want to limit your surprises down to minimal chunks when it comes down to fixing and flipping. You got to have it. I mean, honestly, if you don't, you're going to be like basically playing Russian roulette. So again, no surprises, no wasted money. So here's an example of a home inspection. I can't really click on this right here, but we can look at it after the presentation. And then I'll show you guys a scope of work too as well. So in this case, let's go ahead and show you guys a home inspection right here. So home inspection looks like this is a very, very typical home inspection that I end up getting. I'm going to zoom in here real quick for you guys. This is Maple Shade Lane. This is for my Pink Oven Properties, Philip Ty, and there's a bunch of jargon here in the very beginning of it. All home inspection will look different, by the way, so don't expect the ones that you get look like this. Okay, so now it comes to the picture part. I leverage these pictures, and you'll see here in a second, on the scope of work. So I see that there's obviously overgrown vegetation here, etc. There's an exterior hole in the wall that I need to cover, dryer vent. There's some rot over here, and I use this religiously to build out my scope of work. It basically points out all the discrepancy of the house, which makes total sense. This is an overhang of a branch that I trimmed. And again, you guys can check out the scope of this particular property that I fixed and flipped in the course. Okay. See, there's a pinhole in the roof. I would have never caught that, right? I can't see that from where I'm standing. So like again, it's invaluable to have this. So you guys get the point, okay? So now the next thing is a scope of work. All right, here's the scope of work. Here is the exterior paint that I like to use. And this basically points out what I'm using and where the location's at, and then the color code and the finish, which makes it very simple for my drywallers / painters. So I'm gonna scroll down real quick so you guys don't see my contractors. The exterior is basically the general portion of it. And you guys can see that I'm basically removing rod, etc. I'm just basically copying and pasting what's happening in the inspection report and then adding my own finishes on top of it. Like, hey, paint the front of the property. Or like, for example, hey, demo the whole kitchen and then add a whole new kitchen cabinets and countertops, like that stuff. And you can see I'm pointing out all the pictures so they can actually see where the location's at. They can basically match it up, right? So you guys get the point. This takes a majority of your time, by the way. This will take the most majority of your time, but it gives you the most freedom because it gives you the instructions for the contractors. You give the scope of work for your contractors so they can give you a quote on the repairs that need to be made and the updates, and then give it back to you. So it does a lot for you at the end of the day. You do a lot of work up front, but it'll save you a lot of time. Again, so now let's go into this amazing Rehab Valuator. This is such a great tool to use. You can click the link in the description below. It can just guide you there. It's really, really inexpensive. It's like 49 bucks a month. To Maple Shade. There we go. Maple Shade. This is the one that you saw. So again, I purchased the property for $200,000, and this will give you a general idea of how much you can make on the property. And projected profits $101,000. Definitely it's a deal. Now, the best thing about here is you can click into repair budget, and you can literally label all the stuff that you're going to be doing to the property. Literally everything. It's absolutely amazing. And there's so many features that you can do with it. You put your property square footage, and it will calculate based on the rate that you think it's going to cost, and they'll spit out a potential number, a total. Now, this is just an example. It didn't cost me $28,000 rehab, but give me an example. And then you can choose what kind of funding it has. You can create a Excel spreadsheet. You can upload. You can do a lot of different things on this. You can track. You can schedule your work. You can upload the transactions of the property, and you can actually track if you're on budget or off budget. Okay, and then you can see the draws too as well. It's actually phenomenal, this particular software. Now you can also do a reports. You can present reports, cover page presentation. You can do rehab budget. You can do all types of exit based on this your strategy of the purchase of the property. So it's phenomenal. It's actually great. There's more features to it. There's also comping and all that stuff on here too as well. There's scheduling, accounting. There's so many things that you can do. So comparables right here. So comparable cells. If I do that, I can like zoom in on the comparable cells here and I can select the ones that make sense and put it in my presentation for my lenders. So it compresses a lot of the work. All right. That's it for the Rehab Valuator, but there's more if you look at the website. So much more stuff. So hope you guys found that valuable. Make sure you guys subscribe and continue education on fixing and flipping and buying real estate. Comment below and I'll read them all. And then share if you found this valuable. But wait. If you guys want to learn how to truly value a home, make sure you check out this video right here that I have. Or if you want to learn how I find contractors to do my renovations, check out the video over here.